My call, I think, was actually experienced probably when I was a little bitty guy. My grandfather was a Baptist pastor, and everybody always thought that I was going to be the next pastor in the family. And so for years I kept hearing that story. Well, Rick's going to be a pastor, and I got to the point where I sort of resented it in a way. And so I thought, well, the next best thing to do is show them. So after high school, I enlisted into the Army and became a parachutist, jumping out of airplanes. Was in the airborne infantry, and thought that would kind of help people realize that maybe ministry wasn't where God was taking me. But some years later, as life went along, and I was in the Army for about 11 years, God touched me and realized that I had been postponing what God wanted me to do all along. And so from there, I left the military and went into seminary, and that's what got me here. I remember making rounds in the hospital one day, and as I was going through the intensive care unit, my routine was to sort of wave at the folks that were in the rooms or knock on their doors to let them know I was there. And on one particular day, a veteran looks up and I say, "Hi, I'm your chaplain." And he says, "You're not my chaplain." He says, "I'm an atheist, just keep on going." So I said, "Well, excuse me," and walked on by the wayside. And the next day I came back through again, and unbeknownst to me, he had received some bad news that he had a life-threatening illness. And as I started to go by his room, this time, instead of encouraging me to keep going, he said, "Chaplain, I need to see you." And so I turned and went back to the room, and suddenly, he had a need to talk about where God was in his life, and was it too late for him to have that relationship. As I am nearing retirement, it's actually in some ways almost a little bit uneasy in terms of, am I doing the right thing? Is the right time to leave this part of my life? But my wife has encouraged me to slow down a little bit, and we have our first grandchild coming in May, and so we're going to be spending a lot of time driving from Mississippi to Kansas, where our daughter and her husband live. I would like to say to the annual conference, I so greatly appreciate how I've been received in the annual conference.